Dear Mrs. Graspan, dear President Brasseur, dear members of this distinguished assembly, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, we remind ourselves that we have a promise to keep. On this 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, we stand still, we listen, remember, contemplate, and we reaffirm the solemn vow that arose on the ashes of the Holocaust: never again. In honor of all victims, we recall the events that shaped our values and institutions, most prominently amongst them this very council, and reaffirm our commitment to human rights. However, as Elie Wiesel recently put it, the winds of madness are blowing. While I am able to recall a peaceful, carefree childhood, my peers and I today are experiencing threats that, to me, seemed unthinkable to ever reoccur on European soil. It is becoming increasingly clear that our responsibility in the presence of survivors and in honor of all the victims is more than simply to remember. It is to remember, understand, recognize, and act. Last year, the European Union of Jewish Students brought together Jewish student leaders in Skopje in order to define our duty as young Jews in Europe today. We understood that our generation has a particular responsibility. We are the bridges between those who have living memory of the horrors of the Holocaust and our children who will not know survivors. We young Jews of Europe, therefore, developed two pledges. While I am able to take your hand, Mrs. Graspan, and to know you, I also pledge to you that my children will know you. My peers and I also pledge that commemorating the Holocaust and honoring the memory of all victims will always mean taking action in the here and now. Ladies and gentlemen, I respectfully call on you to join me in my pledge towards Mrs. Graspan and all survivors of the Holocaust. I call on you that, while we remember together today, you also consider decisive action in the face of anti-Semitism, racism, and bigotry. The most meaningful way we as a society can honor all those lives destroyed is to remain resilient against the divisive forces of fear and hate. Let us contemplate this today as we remember the victims of the Holocaust. And let us take together, first thing tomorrow, action. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech and congratulations for your commitment. And I'm sure that with your commitment, you also can pass over the memory. So thank you very much. Today, dear colleagues, we commemorate the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi concentration and extermination camp of Auschwitz-Birkenau. And we reiterate our commitment to the protection of human rights and human dignity against brutal barbarian cruelty. Let us pay tribute to the victims of the Holocaust. Let us pay tribute to those who fought for our freedom with a minute of silence. Of the sitting, the Assembly will hold its next public sitting this afternoon at 3 p.m. with the agenda which was approved this morning. I now invite everyone to gather in the forecourt of the Council of Europe to continue the commemoration ceremony. Thank you very much. The sitting is adjourned.